and you're welcome to ask questions or anything if something doesn't make sense. Yeah? You're ready to stretch out. Yay. Okay, you are going to need 1 or 2 blocks and probably a blanket. And then I'm going to show you also a version of the pose at the wall. So you don't have to have a wall. I don't know if you do have one, but I will at least show you.
I got a little one here.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. That's all you need. Okay. So let's get started. Thread the needle. It is in Sanskrit. It is Parsva Balasana, and Parsva meaning turned, and Balasana meaning child pose. Bala, child, asana, pose. So we have turned child pose is the Sanskrit name of it. And of course, I don't memorize the Sanskrits. I don't use the Sanskrits, but I like to, like, in the beginner breakdowns, I like to just kind of give it there. This is a back twist. It is a wonderful, and you can sit down, April. We're going to start sitting. It's a gorgeous back twist. It's, you're slightly upside down in the pose. You get gravity kind of helping you out, so helping to decompress and adding your body weight into the shoulder opener. It's a gentle neck opener. Really, really good for your upper back, thoracic spine. Let's see, it is a calming pose because it's a folded twist, and it releases tension from the back. It releases tension from between the shoulder blades. If you have neck injuries, shoulder injuries, recent neck and shoulder injuries, I would say, skip it, or do take very precautions, right? I'm going to show you all the variations, so anyone who watches this later and you have neck or shoulder injuries, then you will get to have your variations. So they also say if you have knee injuries, you have to also be careful with this one. Then do your props. Yeah, block blanket, wall, and very good. All right, we'll get started. Let me adjust the camera a little bit there. Okay, and I have all my notes so I don't forget any important information. Like, I know the pose, but I want to make sure I tell y'all everything about it. And let's see. You know, I'm actually going to pin my screen. No, I'm going to look. I'm going to do one of the rare things I never do. I'm going to be looking at you through the glass. Okay. So one of the variations we start with is just sitting, right? Sitting tall. And very, very simple. We take a very gentle sitting version of the pose, meaning that you're just going to take one arm, cross in front of your chest, and bring the other hand or arm to hold that and help kind of guide it here across the chest. So what you're looking for right there is a stretch in that extended shoulder here. And you can actively press the shoulder down, move it a little bit further. You might even explore very gentle, slow movement in the neck. The shoulder opening sensation you're feeling here is very similar. It's what you're looking for in the traditional pose. You can even twist your spine a little bit, explore. And then we'll switch. So if you tend to hold a lot of tension in the neck, shoulders, upper back, this whole Thread the Needle series is really, really, really good to work through that. It can be very gentle, which is how we all start, and then we move it up into the more progressive, sort of challenging variations of the pose. And from here, let it relax, roll the shoulders. And then we'll take a gentle variation, still sitting, is you're going to bring your hands down in front of you. So even for some people, this is even difficult, but hopefully, the hands come down in front of you. We can bring one forearm down to the ground. And then the hand, the flat hand, so this is my right hand, but you're going to press into that hand a little bit and just sort of twist the torso slightly, gazing out past to the side or past that shoulder. So this one is a little bit less in the shoulder, but hopefully you're feeling a little bit more in your back. You can even wiggle a little bit side to side, explore that back sensation. then we'll switch. So coming up, and then the other forearm comes down and you press into that flat hand to give yourself that twist here. So we broke down the thread the needle, we separated the shoulders, stretch, and the twist into these sitting variations. So anytime if you're in a class and the traditional variation is not for you, this is a great alternative. Come back to center. So then let's say that the forearm is not needed. You can go further. So we're going to take this, I'll try to mirror you, this right arm, and thread it, right? Thread the needle, thread it through that hole, and then try to bring the shoulder down as much as you can. Again, that flat hand there is going to press into the floor and help you get into that twist. Now, the head might not reach the ground. It might reach the ground, but you also have an option of taking a block or a blanket under the head and giving support there. Breathe. Big belly breath. Now in this variation of the needle, you could even take your top arm and reach it up to the sky. This is something we do in the traditional variation as well. This is a very nice option if you have knee issues and can't have a lot of weight on the knees. That top arm can stay reaching to the sky. It can open out a little bit behind you. It can also wrap around your lower back, and maybe the hand grabs the flesh of the right inner thigh. And I'm mirroring you. And then if you do that little bind and that reach, you'll feel some extra sensation in the top shoulder. And gently we release and return it up. Feeling good? Yeah. Now hopefully you already feel a difference in the shoulders there. Let's do the other side. Your hands are slightly out in front of you. And we're going to take, so I'm going to mirror you, take the left arm and again, thread it through. The palm is facing up, and you really try to reach it through as much as you can, bringing that left shoulder as close to the ground as possible. And again, if you want it, the block or blanket can support the head. Keeping the neck nice and safe. Press into that flat right hand, giving you the leverage to twist a little bit more, to go a little bit deeper. Big belly breath. Okay. And then if you want to, you can play with your top arm. Top arm can reach up to the sky. Maybe it wraps around the low back. The fingers searching for that left inner thigh flesh. And release it. Come on up. Beautiful. You can move your, if you're using, I couldn't tell, but you can move your block to the side, and we're going to come into all fours. So you also want to warm up a little bit with your cat and cows, right? With the needle with cat and cows. So taking some movement here, rounding the spine in your cat, opening your cow. Inhales the cow, exhales the cat. You can roll your hips, roll the neck. Knowing the blanket is always there for you to cushion under the knees if needed. And anytime that we're on our hands like this, you can always come onto the fists if the wrist ever starts to give you an issue. Nice. So returning to your center and neutral spine, we're going to show you that forearm variation. So this right arm, you're going to bring that forearm down to the mat. And then take that left hand, press it into the floor, and just twist. And this takes a little bit of it out of the shoulder, but you still get kind of a nice twist in your back. This is just if you tend to have, if you have any shoulder issues, if the full pose is not happening. And returning up onto the hand. Other side, left forearm comes down, press into the right hand and twist. You can always explore, right? The hips can take little itty bitty movements. You can shift right a little bit forward, a little bit backward. And returning up to center. Nice. Come on back, yeah. And then we're gonna find our child pose. So big toes are touching, and you're gonna bring your hips down to your heels. This is gonna be our gentler variation of thread the needle. So you're gonna come up about halfway, arms out in front of you, and then threading one arm through, and thread as much as you can and bring the shoulder to the ground. Now again, the block and the blankets offer you support if the head and if the shoulder doesn't quite reach the floor. They fill the gap. Or if that head to the ground is hurting the neck. So you can, your options, you could pad underneath the shoulder. You could pad underneath the head and sort of adjusting the props as you need them to be to feel good. And in the child pose variation, your knees can be together and touching, but they can also be open as wide as you like. So play with your knee distance a little bit. And just feel what's nice. Returning to center. Other side, threading the other arm through. Laying shoulder and head down. That flat hand that's in the floor, press that flat hand into the ground and feel that leverage of how you can twist it deeper. Maybe your bottom shoulder threads through a little bit more. Good. Big belly breath. And returning up. Nice. So that's your variation of being up on the knees is too much, or of having your body weight all the way into the shoulders too much. Let's go ahead and move into the traditional version. You're in all fours. We traditionally start with an extension, right? We let the right arm lift up to the sky. And what this is doing is creating space, right? You're opening up the body in the front so that you can move into all that space when you fold it. Kind of like when we do standing forward folds, we inhale to reach the arms up, and we exhale to fold it down. Kind of the same idea. So here it's a big inhale to reach and open. As you exhale, this right arm comes behind the left and thread it through as much as you can. And you start to lay the side of your head to the ground. Stay there. Okay. And it might just be kind of the top part of the side of the head, maybe around the temple. Yeah. Or maybe you get your ear all the way to the mat. And again, blocks and blankets are here to fill in any gaps between the shoulder and head and the floor. This is also the props under the head or the shoulders, in whichever one's more comfortable to you is also a great option if you're pregnant. And return. So options, you can just let that right hand come to the floor, or you can extend it up again, and maybe notice any change in the mobility of the shoulder there. Good. Other side. Left arm. Big inhale. Reach it up. And an exhale. Fill in all that space. And that flat right hand, press it into the floor. All right, inhale, returning up. Nice. So we're going to take that variation again. We're going to add some little variations with the top arm. So the right arm is going to go up to the sky. Big inhale. Exhale, thread it through. Good. And just like we did when we were sitting down, right? Our top hand can reach up to the sky. It can fall out a little bit behind you. It can just kind of hang there in the socket and take a little bit of movement. That's a nice stretch for the inside of the arm. And you can also take a wrap around the low back. And again, looking for the flesh of that right inner thigh, which might be a little bit easier to find than in that sitting position. Wiggle your hips a little bit left and right and find the perfect sensation for your back. And then that's where the hips will kind of stay. And there's very little weight in the head. We're not trying to crank the neck. We're just creating a gentle sensation. It should feel nice. And then release it and returning up to center. You have very open shoulders after this. Other side. Left arm, reach it up. Big inhale. Exhale, thread it through. Reach as far as you can. We're trying to get the shoulders to almost stack, right? That top shoulder directly over the bottom shoulder. You really got to thread that shoulder through. And then let that top arm lift up to the sky. Maybe let the arm kind of hang back in the shoulder socket. Give it a little bit of movement to feel that stretch in the inner thigh. The inside of the arm. Then maybe wrap the arm around the low back, and you're searching for the flesh of the left inner thigh. And then let your hips take a little shift left and right. And again, just find where the hips need to be to feel the best sensation in your back. And gently return. Good. So a nice releasing from child or from your cat's, I can't speak today, from your thread the needle. Options are to take a little puppy pose where you just let your hips stack over the knees, heart comes down, or just the forehead touching down. Another option besides your puppy is a downward facing dog, which you don't have to do unless you want to, but it's a nice way just to kind of take a little reset, a little extension. It's kind of the counter pose, a little balance to all the thread and needles. From here, we're going to come up to standing. Any way you can get there. Perfect. I'm going to show you the wall variation. So I'm trying to choose which wall I want to go to. I'm going to go to this wall. We are going to bring the hands flat to the wall, and it's going to be shoulder height. Yeah, don't knock down that face. Cool. So go ahead, just because you won't be able to see me, go ahead and just watch me first. You have your hands shoulder height at the wall, and then you're going to have your feet, where you're kind of standing almost straight, or it's a slight incline, right? We're not going to lean too far, but just that straight up. From there, you're going to take that one arm and you're going to thread it through so that supporting elbows, my left is going to have to bend, and I'm going to lean into the wall, and my feet don't move. So you're going to feel that twist coming up into your spine. And then you'll hold it for a second, and then you'll just take the other side. And I ran out of wall space there. So let me see it. Yeah. The shoulder height. So both hands first, right there. And then thread, or whichever one, thread one arm through. Yep, and lean your shoulder into the wall. Yeah. And that straight arm, let it be straight against the wall. The bottom hand, your right hand. There you go. There you go. Yeah, so the one that I'm threading is a straight flush with the wall. And you can sort of, rock a little bit and play. And returning to center. And you're just going to have a reset there. I'm going to change the direction so I have wall space. And then your other arm, thread it through. And lean that shoulder in. And kind of imagine that the whole back of your left shoulder is going to touch your wall. So for me anyway, this actually is a little bit less intense in the shoulder, but more of a twist in the back. It just kind of depends on where you're tight or how you're feeling it. All right. And come on up. Yeah, and you can release it from the wall. How'd that feel? Pretty good? Yeah. Well, that's a great, also another, it's a great variation if you like wall practicing or if you don't want to be on your knees. It's kind of a fun, you don't have to do it, but you could you can create a little, almost like a push-up motion because that supporting arm has got to do a little bit of work there. Yeah, so it's kind of fun, a little bit of a push-up there. So you can build some shoulder and arm strength as well, little variations, little fun things. All right, come back down onto the ground. The only time we stand up. And we're going to move into the traditional variation again. We're going to add the foot movement. So I want you to watch first and see it, because this is one of those things that's hard to see when you're in the pose, right? So I'm going to forego and skip the extension. But what's going to happen is you'll have your thread, and then we try to stack those shoulders as much as we can. And what we're going to do, this is going to be, I'm going to mirror you. This is going to be the left foot stepping out to the side. And I always see people step that foot way too far back. And we want those toes to come up to the fingers, these right fingers, as much as possible. Now, you could even grab that big toe if you wanted, if you don't have to. And that, if you do find that toe, it gives you a little bit more leverage. You can kind of extend that shoulder a little bit more. Now, here's the other variation. You still have the option of the wraps, yeah? But what this leg allows you to do is bring that top arm out over the head, and you can start to turn your face toward the ceiling. Now, if you're holding the toe, you can let go there, and to go a little bit deeper, we start to shift weight into the shoulders. Your bottom leg is going to rotate a little bit to help you keep balance. Both arms keeping balance. And then you end up having both shoulder blades on the floor and the back of the neck is extended here. And it's not for everybody. And if you fall out, it's completely normal. Go ahead and try it. I'm going to talk you through it, April. Yes. So then this would be your left foot stepping out to the side. Good. So play with maybe that little toe grab first to see how that feels. And then your top arm, reach it over the head toward the front of the mat. Now on the mat, so reaching over the head, yeah. And then you're going to kind of walk that top arm out over to the side. So you're going to start to roll, roll, roll toward the back of your shoulders. Right, falling is normal. We do try to keep the balance. Adjust your legs any way that feels natural to you. We're just starting to work gently into the back of the shoulders, into the back of the head. Now, always if it starts to hurt the shoulders or hurt the neck, don't do it. I can only see half of your body, so I'm assuming that your shoulders are correct. And you can come on up and then do your other side. So go ahead and scoot backward a little bit, April. A little bit more? Yes. Okay, there. Now I can see you. Cool. Nice. Yeah, play with the toe grab first. Just see how you kind of pull with the toe a little bit. It allows you to kind of pull a little bit more in the shoulder. Ooh, keep that foot on the ground if you can. We'll lift it later. And then take that right arm, crawl it out along the mat. Yeah. And then start to crawl it out a little bit more and start to roll toward the back of the head, the back of the shoulders. Any amount. You don't have to go all the way. You have a couch. Yeah, there you go. So you have a couch, it'll catch you. So that's super, super normal. You feel that? Kind of that change of the stretch. So it just kind of gives you different ways of working into all the layers of tissue in the shoulders, upper back, neck, so that it's not a stagnant pose, right? It doesn't have to be one thing. It can be quite a few things. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you another variation. This one you can go with me. We're going to come onto all fours. And so we start with the leg extension and go the opposite way. So let's take the right foot out to the side. Yeah, and let's have the toes face forward and kind of line up the arch of the foot with your bottom knee. Nice. So in the traditional variation, you are having this way. Actually, we can go ahead and do that too. Let's do the left hand and just kind of thread it through and bring that shoulder down. This is another way you can get into it. And return just the hand to center. Now here we keep the leg where it is and we go the opposite way. So the right hand is now going to thread and the shoulder's going to come down. And you're going to feel, hopefully, a good stretch in that right inner thigh, yeah? Yeah, good. This one is where I see a lot of people not quite able to get the shoulder and the head all the way to the ground. And here, it doesn't have to be supported by the block or the blankets. You don't have to have that support. You just sort of melt into the gravity of it. But the blankets and the blocks are always there for you if needed. And return on up. And bring that leg in. And let's do the other side. So, left foot out, toes forward, line up, heel to arch. Nice, let's do traditional version first. Right arm, thread it through. Your fingers looking for that foot. And return. And now we're holding these pretty short. If you were taking a self-practice, you would hold poses for about 3 to 5 breaths. Left arm, thread it through. And feel that gorgeous stretch. Tailbone is tilting up to the sky the same way you would in a puppy pose or a down dog. Threading that shoulder a little bit more if you can. And return. Come on up. Bring the foot in. Nice. Take a little break. So finding either puppy or a nice little down dog and just sort of stretch it out. You're on your knees a lot for this little breakdown. And come back down to all fours. Nice. Blankets are also there for you to pad under the knees if needed. And if you're someone at home or anywhere that doesn't have a blanket or a towel, you can always fold your mat on itself as well. And that gives you a little bit of padding. Always an option. All right, I'm going to show you a core variation. This one you're going to watch first. So it's the same idea. If my right arm was to go through and my left foot was going to step out, from here, my left heel is going to pick up, and I'm going to try and hover the left foot, the toes, about 1 or 2 inches off the ground and spread those toes. So this is you're going to feel this in your core, and people always want to bring this leg really high, but we're going to keep it low. And then we'll hold it for a second, and then we're going to pulse it. Yeah? And then you'll come back in. Let's go ahead and go into the pose. We'll thread the needle first. Thread first. Okay. Oh, you like that way. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. All right, then let the right heel lift first. And then try to bring those toes just 1 or 2 inches off the ground. So hold it right there first. Spread your toes. Oh, yeah, cute. Is that a cutie? Is that a cat? Yeah, okay. That's what it went by so fast. Oh, April, do you want 2 kittens by any chance? April, do you want 2 kittens? No? Darn. Okay, we rescued some kittens. Okay, so try it again. Okay. Heel up, toes up. Balance for a moment. Feel in your core. And then pulse that leg up and down. Lift up and down. Yeah, any amount. You can go higher if you want to. Good. Come on up. How's you feel it? Yeah, it was good. It's a fun one. All right, do the other side. You got to even it out though. I love your animals. I wish mine would come on camera. He just sleeps over there. Nice. Start to give it a pulse. Nice. And you're done, maybe? Okay. Nice. Good job. So yeah, that one's a fun one. And I'm going to challenge your balance again in the pose. So that one was one variation of how to do a balance and core activation. The pulsing activates the hip and the thigh muscles, so you can really add some of that there. And here's the one I'm going to show you, which is a balance. I'm going to turn this way just because you'll see it better. If I take into my thread the needle, so this is my left arm, then my opposite leg, right leg, is going to go up out behind me. And I'm going to try my best to keep the hips squared. Think like warrior three. Hips squared, toes, thigh, knee pointing to the ground. This actually requires a little bit of weight being shifted more into the head. Especially if there's neck issues, this one is not recommended. If the leg coming up works and you're feeling good and the balance is feeling good, then from there, my right arm would lift and it would try to open back as much as possible. So my upper body is trying to open back, but my low body is staying down. So I'm adding a small twist into this as well. And that's going to be your balance pose. And then you try to bring it all back in. Cool. So I'll talk you through it. All right. This is going to be your left leg extending out behind you. All right, so just kind of feel that, let that establish. And if it's in you, the left arm up to the sky. Maybe, yeah. And then feel the activation of the arm, the shoulder trying to open back, but the hip, the leg pressing down. Good job. And come on out. Yeah, you read my mind. And good. You can also do cat-cow or something if you want to take a little reset. So if you need it, do the other side, even it out. When you're ready, no rush. It's the right leg that will go up and back. Beautiful. And maybe the right arm. Always one side always a little bit different than the other. Puppies. Good job. Yeah, and just kind of working through the variations so they're there for you. Let me see where we're going. I'm gonna do that one last. Yep. We did the balance. Beautiful. Okay, you know what? We're almost done. So I want to show you thread the needle in one-legged pigeon, right? We have our just coming into your one-legged pigeon any way you can. And I love thread the needle in one-legged pigeon. It really adds a lot. And you do both sides. So you'll just take one arm through and just try to lower it. Again, block blankets are there for you. It just really adds something to the one-legged pigeon, I feel. And then coming back up and do the other arm. And just notice the difference you feel. And the same thing happens with the top arm as it does in all the other variations. The top arm can press where it is. It can open up to the sky. It can wrap around. With this side, you can take that hand toward the inner thigh. It can go over the head, crawling along the front of the mat. And return, come on up. And switch your legs. So go to the other side. When you get to your other side, no rush, take a thread the needle here. Because we're going to do both arms, so it doesn't matter which one you start with. And return it up. And take your other side, other arm. And this is one where a lot of times a little blanket or block under the head can feel really nice. And returning up. Okay, come into a comfortable position, just sitting. So I only have one more variation of the pose to show you, but I want to let you know that thread the needle, it can kind of be incorporated into a lot of other poses, right? So stay where you are, you don't have to do this. I just want to show you, if we were in a warrior one pose, you could bring your hand down and you can thread it under the leg and let the shoulder come down, right? You could lift up the heel there, you can make it part of your lizard pose. There's all kinds of ways you can sort of just move it into the practice. There is a gorgeous, it'll show up on this, okay, angle to the camera, right? There's a variation of a twist, right? We've done this with a deer, there it is, our deer, and you can thread the needle, deer, you can extend the legs out, thread the needle, beautiful twist. All right, so think about that in your personal practice. If you're with me on a slow Sunday or something and we're just holding a pose, you might just kind of play and see what you got. Last variation is taking thread the needle into plow pose. So this is another one I'm going to have you watch first. If you are not interested in it, that's okay. You just have a little finale. You get a plow pose. If you're not familiar with, to remind you what plow pose is, actually, let me make sure I have it over here. That's when the feet come over the head. The hands can support the back or come down. You probably have them out to the side, actually, because we're going to go from thread the needle. You would have your chin slightly lifted, so the back of the neck, that's my mic, the back of the neck is not flat to the ground. Again, if plow is not a pose that you're comfortable with, don't worry about it. Just watch and just know this variation exists. So what happens, let's see what side I want to do. Thread, just traditional thread, put that to the side, walking the arm out, and this is where we start to go. So remember, before we're rolling toward the back of the shoulders, and then this is where you shift the weight, if I can do it, and you go into your plow. And you can play there, and then you would reverse, and come back. And my blocks are all up in the way, but that is sort of how it looks, and then you would do the other side as well. Want to play or no? No, okay. So then that's it. That is your thread the needle breakdown. Kind of a short one. It's a simple pose. It just has a lot of fun variations to it, which I really like. And it's a pretty easy pose for beginners. Feels really good. How do your shoulders and neck feel and everything?
I can feel it. And before this class, I didn't know the idea was to stack them. So I learned that, and I feel it. Like, I never felt thread the needle before, but now I feel it.
Because you stack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we were in person, what I would do is I'd come in, like, I would move your shoulders, and then I would even take your bottom arm and pull it through just a little bit. Think about those kind of motions. Yeah. Because when I teach this in person, I always see people go like this. Yeah. They kind of just drop it where it is, and they don't thread it through. Imagine even the bottom shoulder would go past your top shoulder, which it doesn't unless you're rolling onto the back. But yeah, that's how we get that extension and that reach.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that was the big aha for me.
Very good, very good. And did you like the inner thigh stretch and everything?
Yes, yes. And when you said I was going to feel it in my hip, I did.
Yeah.
I definitely did. And then I felt it in my lower stomach. So yeah, I felt it.
Yeah,
So.
and of course it goes without saying that in all these poses, don't forget to breathe. You know. But
It was
yeah,
good.
okay.